We are back on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio, News Talk, 1180, 1230 KGEO, 1410 Cary, the Christian station, 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and now 3 times on the Internet on KNOOK Media, serving Richmond, Oakland, and the San Francisco Bay Area. Our guest by phone is one of our very favorite guests, I think the most knowledgeable person in the country on Obamacare, Sally Pipes, president of the Pacific Research Institute. Sally, before we go on, I want to give a plug to your books, and which the 3 of them that Clay and I have, we think they're fantastic. The last one is The Cure for Obamacare by Sally Pipes. The second one was The Pipes Plan, which I think is fantastic. And the very first one was The Truth About Obamacare. And these books are available at the Pacific Research Institute. What's the website there, Sally?
At www.pacificresearch.org.
And I highly, highly recommend the Pacific Research Institute and the work that Sally does. And it's up in the San Francisco Bay Area. And are you guys on top of a hill and it's fortified with barbed wire and the whole bit, Sally, being up there?
No, we're down in the financial district, close to the bay. But we have a pretty tight security at the Embarcadero Center, so we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Sally, based on the expected losses, the increased premiums, the higher cost to everybody unless you're getting a subsidy or a Medi-Cal, do you think that the carriers are going to be subsidized by the government?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a big issue about a month ago, the reinsurance issue for the insurers. If the claims that they had were, for 3 years were greater than the premiums that they were bringing in, it was called the risk corridor effect. And each person who has insurance is paying $63 a month to cover to go into the fund to help the government cover these risk corridors. I think it's completely wrong for the government to offer insurers funds to help cover the fact that the claims are not being covered by the premiums. So it looks like that's going ahead. There was a big outcry about it, but right now all news is on the fact that the administration and the president were able to get 7.1 million people enrolled. And, we talked a minute ago about Medicaid and Medi-Cal. The issue of the subsidies, which are available for any individual earning between 138% and 400% of the federal poverty level. Below 138, you're eligible for Medi-Cal or Medicaid. But, it's very difficult when people get something from government, whether the program is good or not. When they get money from government, entitlements, it's very difficult to take something away. And so I'm very worried about, of the 7 million people that have signed up, how many of them are going to get subsidies? Because if they do get subsidies, that's going to be another group that is going to be pro-Obamacare, even if they aren't pleased with the kind of coverage that they get, what doctors they have, what hospitals they have access to.
Sally, I don't believe the 7 million person figure anyways. I think that's a bunch of baloney. But that's my own opinion, because all of a sudden that number came out of left field. But the thing that really bothers me, and I'm surprised that nobody talks about it, is I can remember as an agent going to the Covered California meeting, and the gentleman started off by saying, we have lost tens of thousands of applications with checks. And nobody's talking about that, and that bothers me. If that was an insurance company that did that, the state would be down their throat in a heartbeat. But
right,
here it
take
is.
Our money right away.
Yeah.
We don't get to delay paying our taxes. Well, I want to delay. I don't want to pay my taxes on April 15th. Why don't I get a delay?
Well, and the fact that they've lost tens of thousands of applications plus checks, that's outrageous.
Absolutely. I mean, it's totally inefficient, and some of these people that if their checks have been lost, it won't show up that they paid their premium, and they'll think they have coverage.
One of the issues that I believe has caused a lot of the young people not to sign up is the mistake Obama made back in 2010 when he allowed people up to the age of 26 to go on their parents' plan. And I think that's hurt them as far as enrollment goes. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. That was in September 2010 that young people could join on their parents' plans till age 26, which of course by doing that had an impact on the price of coverage for employers for what they were paying for their employees. The latest number that came out this week is that 3 million of the 7 million, 3 million are young people joining on to their parents' plans. And I'd be interested to know of those 3 million young people who've signed onto their parents' plans, what is the status of their health? Because if I were to bet, I would think that a lot of those 3 million are kids with chronic or pre-existing conditions, not healthy. And this is going to put more pressure on insurance companies for covering claims.
Oh, no question about it. And the other problem we have is people don't understand the new rating system where every individual is now rated, rather where it used to be if you had 3 or 4 kids, you had a family rate, but now you rate each child independently and individually, as well as the spouse and the employee. And these are driving rates up tremendously.
Right, and we have seen already in the last couple of weeks that the insurance companies are saying, our rates for November, the premiums, are going to be a lot higher. So, as Mark Bertolini, the head of Aetna, said about a month ago, that if they find their claims are far outpacing the premiums that they're collecting, and then if the administration, the Center for Consumer Information and Insurance Oversight, isn't going to allow them to increase premiums beyond a certain percentage, how possibly can they stay in the exchange, and ultimately how possibly can they stay in business?
Exactly. Our guest by phone, Sally Pipes, president of the Pacific Research Institute and the author of 3 great books on Obamacare.
Sally, I also believe that the Democratic Party is going to suffer in this next election, and this is another reason. They pushed back the requirements for the large groups, and last year a lot of the small groups took an early renewal in December. And then they pushed it back to a December renewal, thinking that would be after the election. But the insurance carriers are required to send out their notices 60 to 90 days in advance. So individuals as well as group employers are going to get notice of these large increases before they file their vote. And I think this is going to have a negative impact on the Democratic Party.
Right. Oh, I absolutely agree. And I bet there will be another push to say that the insurance companies, because of the 60 to 90 days, they're going to push that out again because they don't want, the Democrats don't want their voters saying, hey, I just got this huge premium increase. Or, as you mentioned, a lot of the small group companies in the small group market renewed on December 1st of 2013 so they could keep their same coverage and rates for this year. But there are so many people that are going to be absolutely enraged by this that it would definitely, I think, have a negative impact on how these people vote.
I want to talk about penalties for a second. This year it's supposed to be $95 for an individual, $47.50 for a child, or 1% of your adjusted gross income. Do you think the government is actually going to go after and try to collect those penalties?
Right. Well, I think, just to go back on this issue, the March 31st deadline for the to have coverage or to face this penalty, $95 or 1% of income. I think that a lot of people think, $95, that's nothing compared to the, say, $300 on average that you would pay for coverage per month in California. But people that are earning $100,000, 1% is not $95. So I think it's going to be a bit of an eye-opener. I think, the government is desperate for money, and I think they will, but whether they're going to be able to do it right away, because, even members of the IRS staff have said that they don't have the capacity to do, to monitor all of this. So 2015, when people are filing their tax returns, it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds.
So, Sally, we've got about a minute left. Again, give us your website and real quickly the names of your books.
www.pacificresearch.org is Pacific Research Institute's website. My books are The Cure for Obamacare, which came out in July 2013. It's a broadside from Encounter Books. The next one back is The Pipes Plan, The Top 10 Ways to Dismantle and Replace Obamacare by Regnery Publishing. And the original one in 2010, October 2010, was The Truth About Obamacare. That was a Regnery book. They are all available on Amazon.com or through PacificResearch.org.
And Sally, I've got to tell you in the 20 seconds we have left, I've already had a couple people Facebook me and say, hey, is Sally coming on this weekend? So a lot of people that we both know will be listening to the program this weekend when you're on. Sally, again, thank you for the time, and we will talk to you again soon.
Thank you, Marty and Clay. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We will see you in 167 hours on Taking Care of Business on Koerner Radio News Talk 1180.